Hi and welcome. How are you all doing? I'm fine, thanks for asking. Right, so I am going to be something I was meaning to do last year, and it was asked in one of my chats how to prepare shop bought rovings in the sense of the ones that are already coloured and blended together and stuff. So the other week there I was ordering some silk caps for a future video, and I was on World of Wingham Wool, and I do go on there now and again and have a little mooch, see what they've got. And I ordered some rovings, and they look really quite bold and vibrant when I bought them on the shop. Well, one of them really is, but the other two are quite muted. So I've got this one to work with, which is called Calvery, and it's 21 micron count merino. And you can see it's got lovely nursery or unicorny sort of colour vibes in there. And I thought it would be nice to see what potential we could get from this roving. Now, to be fair, it does seem structurally not fully blended like what I'm used to working with. You can easily pull those sections apart. Yeah, you can see exactly where they are. Now, I am no way slagging off Wingham Wool. I have been using Wingham Wool personally for myself for years, going back to when I first started spinning. So you're talking nearly 9 years ago, about 9 years ago now. But in comparison to the blending, this is a world of wool, and you can see there's a lot more structure to it. I can open it up and it's not falling apart. Okay, this one I feel like it will fall apart as soon as I start to work with it. Yeah, like you can see where the section, so it's not been, as far as my knowledge is, it's not been put through the system enough times to help that incorporate through it. Is literally, if I unfold this, which I'm going to do in a minute, you're going to see there's perfect straight lines in there. So what I'm going to do, we're going to work with that one first. I have got two others which I will get to over the next couple of videos, and I'm going to do different ways to prepare them, and then I'm going to spin them up. I'm thinking I might spin them as singles. I've not made up my mind yet. All depends on which method I use. Might chop and change over the next colours. So this one's called Hemsworth, and it's 21 micron count merino with twisted silk. Again, Wingham Wool. So we're going to work with that one as well. And again, look, you can see that structurally it's lovely and soft, and you can feel the twisted silk in there. But I feel like it could have done with going through it one more time. Can you see how you could quite easily pull that apart? Yeah, so we've got that one to work with. That's called Hemsworth. This one here is called Calvery, and that's 21 micron count merino. That's the one we're working with today. And this one is called Pudsey, and it's again a 21 micron count merino with twisted silk. There we go. I like this one. This one will probably be the last one that I do, because I've got some ideas obviously above my station on what to do with this one in its prep. But we will we'll get to that as we go along. So there we go. So the twisted silk is not all the way through it. It's just stranded and layered in there. So definitely feel like I'd like it to be blended in through more. And I could easily pull apart the colours, which would be nice for doing these preps, because that's the whole point. So we'll give this a go, and I will do a World of Wool blend. I'll have a look through what I've got that would be nice for doing different styles of working with for prepping. Because if you're one of those people that like to order in these lovely limited edition already blended rovings instead of working with bats, because a lot of people don't like working with bats, partly because you don't understand the concept of prepping the fibre properly, or you've ordered the fibre and it's not been blended thoroughly. Sometimes that can be the problem when working with bats. So shop around and try somebody else. Somebody else's technique might be a little bit better for you to try yourself at home. Sometimes it's just down to the preparation of the bat. But anyway, I digress. We're talking about shop bought, mill blended rovings. So this one's just 21 micron count merino. That's it. That's all that's in there. and we're going to have a little play around with it. I think I'm going to split it into 2 different ways, and this one I'll do 2 different prep versions. So, and then I'll knit or crochet it into a swatch. So I'll put this to one side for now. I'll put that over here, and then I'll reposition you so you can see what I'm doing work-wise, and see how I'm putting it onto the board as well, which might be quite vital to the way that you work with it. So bear with me a second. Okay, so I'm going to split it in half again, because I don't want a lot of the fibre. I don't want a lot of fibre on this board. I'm just going to have a little play around with it, and I'm going to first open it up and find out where its centre is. Okay, here, and I'm going to tease these fibres open, and I'm quite literally just going to place it on the blending board. I'm not going to do any pulling down like we would normally do if I was making my rollags, because this is already blended. I don't have to worry about it. I'm just going to pop that on there. Maybe shifty this over a little bit because I want to get the other one on there as well. And open up those fibres a little. Okay, and then we will do the same and repeat that so it goes into yellow to blue. So we'll swap that, turn that around. We'll open up these fibres, take away this soft grey, move that around this straggly piece, and put the, I might actually I'll do the grey to yellow again and do the reverse. Right, we'll do it that way. So we'll put the yellow there, and then sort of tease that over a little bit here. Okay, got a lot of excess down the bottom, but that'll be fine. We'll work. We're just having a mess around. We're having a try. You can obviously perfect this when you're at home. So I am going to get my brush, and I'm going to tease. I'll do it from this way so you can see from my hands out the way. It's going to be quite hard. I think I need to get this, and I'm going to work from the bottom because we've literally just placed this fibre onto the blending board. It's not been smoothed and drafted down, so like we would normally do. We're literally just placing it on here. So we'll work from the bottom up. Maybe sort of bear a little bit on the back of my carder. And we may find that it's looser to work with as well. You know, when you're building up different layers of your wheels and your blends on your blending board, sometimes it can feel like it's really jammed and you're having a fight with it. So anyway, let's have a little go with this. So I'm just going to pinch off some of that because it seems a little bit excessive down the bottom here. Okay, so we're going to just tease that a little. I'm going to make a couple of little rollags from this. So my usual one on the bottom, one on the top, or 2 on the top, sorry. And I'm just going to flip these over, turn that around, and then just ever so gently tease that off. I think that'll do for one. So there we go. So we've got, and I'll still do the little twist around. So we've got the yellow, purple, pink, mint, grey, mint, pink, purple, and yellow throughout that there. The light's a little bit awkward. Yeah, Joe. Can't see it, Joe. But you'll be fine. You'll be fine. Right, so I'm just going to plop that down there. And again, do the same thing. Oh, let's try that one again. Right, pull that out there. turn over, lift up a little, and just gently there we go. There's another one. These are really, really light. There's probably barely, well, that's 25 grams. I ordered 50 grams of each roving, and this would be about 25 grams split into 4 different ones. So you're probably looking at about 3 grams per row, like doing this. These will be really, really quick to work with. So we'll, there we go again. Still drafting it down the board, but we're not putting as much fibre on there. There's not lots of, it's not bulked up and carded in. It's literally just one layering, and all you're trying to do is prep the roving so you can spin it. They look beautiful. I am, oh, I've got my notebook over there, just move that out of the way. Right, I think I might be able, I don't think I'll be able to get one more off of this. Don't think so. Let's have a try. It's going to be a very fragile one. There we go. That is very, very fragile, so I'll probably work with that one first. We'll just try and push it up and push it down. There we go. Take that off there. Yeah, that's very, very fragile, that one. I could have probably, we'll have to readjust how we do that one again. So we're going to, again, split the last of this colourway, and we're going to open it up like we just did. So for here, it was the yellow and grey sections. And can you see what I mean about the layering effect? You quite easily just pull them apart. In an ideal world, you're not really looking for that. You want something that's really blended in proper, really lovely colours. A few times, from my experience, just from buying stuff. But it's nice to work with. I'm not complaining, and I'm not just spinning it off. I am putting it into roll lag, so I have a bit more control over the colours. Okay, so I'm going to just pat that down with my hand. I'll get my other piece, and again we'll tease it open, and we'll just layer it down gently for a minute. Open it up so like the yellows on one side and the grey colour meets in the middle. The purple and yellows have plenty space. I'm just going to lift this up so there's not so much down the bottom, and I should hopefully not end up with a load. And do the same on the top here. There we go. Tease that open a little bit, and again we're going to work from the bottom up wherever she's put. There it is. So we're just going to hold onto this ever so gently and pack that down onto the board. Don't worry if you feel like there's little lumpy bits. Once we go back down to the carder again in a minute, once we've got it all in here. Okay, and then I'll just pack down that last bit. Give it one more card to make sure it's all in there as best as I can probably get it. Move that little piece out of the way. What colour is that? There's yellow in there, and there's grey, and there's purple. That is fine. Just stick that to one side. Stick that to one side. Right. Just wiggle my Rolex over a little bit. So we're just going to gently lift up the bottom. Okay. Tease that a little. But you're not got it packed, so you shouldn't really need to tease it too much. And then we're just going to lift that and control. So you can see the tines popping through where the fibre was, and I think that's plenty for that one. There we go, and just give it a quick twist. That's really, really pretty, isn't it? Okay, there we go. These will be really quick spins, which would be perfect if you're using a drop spindle. So that's enough for that one. A drop spindle or a Turkish spindle, because they're so light and they'll be really seriously quick to spin up. I'll just pop that on there, lift that up again. This time I don't want to put too much on this one because I'm hoping to make another. Right, on there and there. Oh, there goes my blending board. Oh yeah, perfect. And that should leave me with a little bit more, so I don't end up with a really wafy, skinny piece. And then lift those up with my fingers. You might as well do it with fingers because there's not a massive thick layering. You could use your carding brush and lift up those bits, but just use your fingers. You're not going to hurt yourself. I think I'm going to end up with another wafy piece. Oh, it's not too bad. Not as bad as that last one we did. There we go. I don't like to waste fibre if I can help it. That's the business lady in me. There we go. Just push them in a little. And there we go. That'll do. So I'll stick that wafy one next to the other waif. And I will probably spin them off last. So let's have a look at what these look like. So there we go. That turned out really nice. You see how that really soft yellow comes through into the purple, the pink, then we've got the mint, and then the bluey grey colour in there as well. Okay, let me see if it's easy if I just turn it around this way. There we go. You've got the better light. It's a nightmare in this house, honestly. I can never get the right light, but I'll pop a picture up anyway and your photographs at the end. Okay, so there we go. So I'm gonna go and get my spinning wheel. And I'm going to spin these off. And if you've never spun roll legs before, there is a little tiny technique that you can use. Well, it's not that you can use, that's not what I mean. There is a technique to spinning your roll leg so that it all doesn't all come out in one go. And it's about how you move it and twist it in your hand. So you bear with me. I'll go and get my spinning wheel that's out on the landing. And I've got yarn on there, so I need to go and wind that off. And I'll get back to you in a minute. Yeah. So, and then at the end of that, I'll ply it all off, show you the results, and I'll come back and talk to you about what I'm going to do with the next one. Okay, so I've spun off nearly all the roll legs that I made. So I'm just going to get my wheel going again, and I'm just going to attach on my last one. Again, start from the yellow always. Well, on this I've got yellow at beginning and yellow at end anyway, so it makes no difference. And I'm going to start spinning that out. Now, if you can see in my hand, as I'm pulling, the fibres are coming out really lovely, but that's probably because they aren't very thick, heavily blended little punies or roll legs that I'm working with anyway, so they are spinning out really nicely. I'm just using my hand then. You've got that little triangle brewing up there, and bringing my hand out really gently to help that move. Now, if you're working with something that's quite heavily blended and it's quite a thick roll, I'd maybe about 10 to 15 grams of fibre in each. I tend to twist the roll lag as I'm working with it, just to help it come out a little bit easier. So I just flick it with my hand over, obviously in a bit more continuous motion, and I really don't have to put any pressure on those fibres as I'm working with the roll lag. and I'll spin it around again. So I'm spinning it in a anti-clockwise direction, so turning it round that way, and it just helps me draft out a finer section or gathering of fibres to make my yarn. If I just carried on like that, you can see how it's now starting to pull out a lot more before I've turned it, which could in turn end up pulling up more of the pink than I want. What I want to do is just use each colour as I go through, so it just helps me control my colouring that's coming out at the same time. So I'm just going to keep on, so I'm just again turn it around in an anti-clockwise direction like so, and it just helps me get a really fine. See, now if I didn't do that, it's coming to a point where it's starting to pull out more of the fibre because I haven't turned it again. So if I turn it now, then those fibres will come out easier. If I just leave it, look at that, see how it's coming out more bulky? And it's nice not to have to control it constantly all the time, and just let it do its thing, and be able to have a consistent dimension on the yarn balance, on the yarn weight, and not fight with the fibres coming out of the roll-lag. Sometimes roll-lags can be a right pain to work with because of the way the fibres are twisted, but they have their purpose and they are really useful because they're trapping all the air inside with the fibres that are all crossed over. So it gives you like a woolen spun yarn. It's trapping all the fibres in there. So if I left that again, look how that goes if I don't twist it. You see how it's getting thicker and thicker and thicker? So if I just give that a few twists, that'll straighten out those fibres a little bit more for me, to let me have a bit more control over the thickness of the yarn that I want to spin. And again, I can feel it pulling at the top, so I just give it a quick twist over, and then I do that again. I quite literally turn it over in my hand like so. And give it another turn. I don't want to fight with the fibres, you see. I want to just spin away with ease, and if it means I have to just with my hand let go, flick it around and then spin on, even better. And I'll keep doing that. So I'm just in the middle of debating in my head whether I want to ply this yarn from a centre pull ball, or do I want to ply it with a natural cotton. This is from the exact same pony or roll-lag that I've used, but because I added the two rovings together on the blending board and didn't blend them as I would normally do, where the two grey sides met when I was blending it, they've just gently pulled apart. Skadi, go away, I'm busy, love. So I've just put one to the other side, because otherwise when I'm doing my twist it just falls off anyway. So I'm just going to connect that with those wispy fibres there, and then put that back on, and then carry on with this. Yeah, I'm still debating in my head, do I want to do a centre pull ball and then knit up a sample so you can see what it looks like, or do I want to ply it with a natural cream cotton that I got on a cone somewhere, see if I can find it in a minute, and then ply that to this so you can see the definition of the colouring throughout. I have no idea what I want to do. So yeah, I'm having that thought in my head at the moment. I'm not sure where I'm going with the next stage of this yarn, because what you would end up with if I plied it with another yarn and just plied this onto a plain yarn, manufactured cone like a lace weight or something, because this is very, very fine, then I would end up with short colour changes, which would look quite interesting, but also it would give me a bit more meterage or yardage meterage to work with. There we go. Keep on doing that. Twist that around. We're coming into the back end of the pink section now, into that lilac bit, like so. Keep turning that around. You can see I'm turning ever so often with my hand, just ever so little bits, but enough for me to be able to work with this without having a fight with the centre of the rolag. You can feel when it needs to do, because it starts to get thicker. So, or you feel a bit more resistant in your hand like that. The resistance is what you're feeling for. And as you get more proficient with spinning with rolags, you'll know exactly what I mean. You can feel there's a bit of a tension in the top of the rolag that it doesn't want to spin, and then when you look at it, it looks quite thick. So just give it a little twist over. Just give that an extra spin on the end, like so, and let that go like that. So bear with me a second while I have a little think what I'm going to do. So I decided, because I couldn't find the natural cotton yarn that I was hoping to work with, so I've ended up hand winding it into a centre pull ball, and I'm just putting it straight onto the bobbin just now. Yeah, it's looking interesting. It's a little bit like a Barbara pole with a slight fractal going on in there. Be interesting to see what it looks like knitted up. Once I've got this plied and put onto wound into a skein, I'll catch up with you and discuss what I'm going to do with the other half in the next video. So I'm sat here and I'm just mulling ideas in my head. I've got a few different techniques that I'll be using to show you and demonstrate how you can work with your rovings that you've bought that are pre-blended or colour blended, or whatever it is that you're wanting to use up, that you just love the colours and how they work, but you're not quite sure how to utilise their best characteristics. So you may see a couple of techniques repeat themselves depending on the busyness of the roving or the simplicity of it or whatever. So I do have a couple of ideas going on. We might even get the hackle out and have a go reworking the blends into something. So if you've only got X amount of blended fibre, because it's quite expensive because of the blends it's got in there, or the fibres it's been blended with, then maybe bulking it out using your hackle might be an alternative idea, to use a base colour that you like the look of, and reblending it. Might go down that route. Right, so we're just getting to the point I'm quite happy. So I've got like the mints mixing with the pink and into the purples, and then we've got the soft grey colours sometimes mixing with the softer yellow. It's looking interesting, that's for sure. But definitely as I go along, you've got this colour change Barbara pole going on, or fractal spin. 1 second, I've got a little bit of a nugget going on here. Just gently tease that apart, those fibres, where the fibres are grabbed onto each other. I was saying, when you're getting down to the bottom end of your centre pull ball, it decides it wants to have a fit. Especially when it's a hand wound one and not on a cake winder. Sometimes I just can't be doing with faffing around looking for the bits of equipment that I need, when I could quite easily just use my hand. Right, I'm just going to pop that over to the next peg. So I'll catch you in a sec when I've got this wound into a skein, and then I'll tell you what I plan to do with the rest of the roving next week. So there is the lovely plied yarn, and you get very, very pastel colours, because there's the actual blend. that we worked with, and we packed onto the blending board and then made into little peonies. So yeah, I'm quite happy with the lovely colourway we've got going. So we've got obviously the mint going into the pink and then fading into the purple, and then we've got like the grey in sections. It looks really, really pretty. So I'm looking forward to working with this. I will go pop off and do a knit thing, and then what I'll do is I'll save that on the stitches, and then next week we'll come back and I'm going to deconstitute that roving, again roll into rollags, and then we'll do a different type of prep with the rollag peony, with the rollag. In case you don't like actually working with rollags and you find them really frustrating to work with, then I've got a different type of prep technique that we can use, and that's what we're going to do with that one next week. And then what I'll do when that's all spun up is we'll join it to this sample so we can keep them together, and then I can keep notes, and then you'll be able to see the comparison of both of them on the same sample knit. Okay, so it'll be interesting to see how this one's goes. So I'll go pop off and do that now, and I'll show you the results in a minute. So I've knitted up the beginnings of a shawl. I thought it'd be a nice idea to put the other set of rollags, which I'm going to do in the next video, together on one little project sampler, so you can see what they look like. So that's it done with a normal pearl stitch on both back and front. I think it's called a stocking stitch. Do not ask me, I am not a professional knitter or anything like that. I'm a very, very immature knitter. And there's your standard knit stitch, and then purl on the reverse row. So that's what we're going on. I was just changing it over then because I knew that I was coming to the end of the yarn, and I wanted to put the next one on and do similar pattern work. But you can see the stitch definition on there as well. It looks really great, and I love how it's giving you that sort of striping effect. Even though it's really short colour changes, it's worked out really, really well. And I thought by applying it on myself that I might actually lose a lot of the colour definition, but I'm really quite pleased with the way that that's turned out. Now, if we're talking about the way of blending on the board, where I just literally laid it on the board, that irks me somewhat because that's not how you're supposed to use the blending board. But for these demonstrations, I think it's probably the best way to do it. The only thing that I had an issue with was the fact that halfway through the rollag, where I put the two layers on together, because they hadn't been drafted down the board like you would normally use your blending board for, because it's for blending, not for layering. Well, you are laying technically, but you're not laying a piece of fibre onto the board and then combing it from the bottom down. But if you're doing it just for preparation because you don't want to lose the colour definition or the way that it's laid out in your roving, whether it's this one or something like this, you want the colours to stay together, or even this one, when it's opened up, you want to keep the layers together in the way that it's been blended, then fair enough. It's a simple technique to do that. You could make some faux lags if you want to. Sorry, my camera's find it hard to refocus again. So yeah, it irked me a little bit that we're going to be doing something very similar again today on the next video. Not today, I'm filming the second video today. That's why I keep saying today. So yeah, ideally I'd want to draft it all the way down the board, pull it and everything else, and then when the layers put together, then I do that slight overlap to make sure that the structure of the rollag stays in form, and doesn't split apart when you're working with it. But I'll do another sample of doing that style anyway on my next video. So I hope you enjoyed this and found it useful. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up on just below the video. It really helps the algorithm figure out where I need to be placed in the listings for viewing, for other people to find me. And also leaving comments helps as well, or any other comments or suggestions or types of blending styles that you want me to do, or the way that I spin the rovings for the next few videos. then if you've got a technique that you like to use or you've seen somewhere else, then let me know in the comments below, and I will look it up, go find out how to do it if I don't already know what you mean. Because this is not something that I'd normally do. I don't normally break up shop bought blended rovings like this. I usually use them for blending my bats, but that's why I thought it'd be a really good idea, because it had been requested a couple of times to do these videos. So here we are, I'm doing them. So thanks for now, take care of yourselves, and I will catch you on the next video when we do part 2 of this what is it called, Calvery. I think it's called the Calvery roving from Wingham Wool. Thanks very much, catch you later, bye.